Get on board the Bernier bus train. Come get on board the Bernier bus train. Once you hear that clickety-clack, there ain't no time for turning back. Go get on board the Bernier bus train.
Good morning, USA, and welcome to another episode of the Bernier Bus Show. Today we have to start out with a little snark. Snark warning, this is Kathy Copeland-Padden, the queen of snark, and she is brilliant, and she's jumping on Hillary Clinton bandwagon. She said she took a week off, so she has to come back and leap in with both feet. So I saw this on my Facebook this morning. Kathy Copeland-Padden, you should all be following her on Facebook. And then underneath it says, would the Clintons and their ilk just go away, please? And then Bill says, remember when neolibs were asking why we're still talking about Hillary when she isn't running? I've been getting that. I had the Medium article, Wiki-Proof, that the Clinton machine is still behind everything. And then we talked about Tulsi Gabbard, we talked about talent agencies, and you really should follow this story. So if your Facebook said that, then you would go to this article. Hate to say we told you so, the Hillary edition. She was offline for a week, and she said that there was little doubt that HRC would exert her evil influence on the 2020 Democratic primaries in one capacity or another. Why? Hilsey is a malignant narcissist. There was no way she was going quietly. Hypocrisy. I like this one. They should be sent back. We have to send a clear message that just because your child gets across the border does not mean your child gets to stay. That was on Central American refugee children in June. When? 2014. And then, like so many others, I am horrified and heartbroken by what is happening to immigrant kids and families because of this administration's disastrous policies. So we've got a little bit of a pivot here. Hilsey is famous for her pivot. And then she talked about McCarthyism and the groundless anti-Russia hysteria that tore the country apart and ruined the lives of countless innocent people, which we've talked about before on the Bernier Bus Show. So she's using Joe McCarthy's playbook, secure in the knowledge that the average American doesn't know diddly squat about their country's history. Support anyone who's a threat to HRC's establishment crime syndicate, and poof, you'll find yourself dubbed a Russian asset. And that's exactly what's been happening. All this human misery because a textbook narcissist sociopath was denied what she considers her birthright in 2016. Not to mention previous times. It's transparent, ridiculous, and shameful. And now Hill is back. Not a long commute, considering she never left. Again, if you go back to my article and other people's research that shows how, and I wanted to say that because I didn't do the research on the article. I found a Medium article, which I quoted in my article, but the angle I took on the article wasn't just that the Hillary machine was smearing Tulsi, but that the Hillary machine is the CIA, is the DNC, that's really obvious, and is Wall Street, and is pharmaceuticals, the whole machine, and it's connected with Hollywood. And that was, my headline was that the flood of Democratic hopefuls, the 20 or more Democratic candidates for president that had somehow not shown up the time before, was put in place by the Clinton machine. And that was my own putting two and two together. And that article has gotten a lot of hits. And then she makes fun of people with pink hats. I don't feel like doing that because I think that Hillary did dupe a lot of young people into supporting her. I I think I haven't seen pink hats for a while, so I think we should leave that one. But she calls people who follow Clinton putzes. That's a nice word for it. Hillary's home reading empowering feminist literature to the grandkids and baking saltpeter cookies for Bill. Leave her alone, Russian troll. That part I think we should we should include here. And she calls them the pantsuit brigade. That's maybe making fun of older people, which I'm okay with. If you're an older person supporting Hillary, then you can be a putz. But I don't feel like making fun of the younger women who support and men who support Hillary, because I think they just followed the media, the corporate media that she owns. The media pretty much print whatever the Clinton machine tells them to, and you've got to see that people who only get their information from the corporate news they're gonna be mixed up. But young people, I have hope for you that you're going to figure out what happened. The Pantsuit Brigade ignores the fact that Hillary knew or owns the DNC, and that's the book by Donna Brazile. If you know, the Democratic Party went broke, making sure Mr. Hope and Change got a second term, leaving them skint coming into the 2016 election, and that's a verifiable fact. But luckily for them, a kind benefactor stepped in to save the day, asking nothing in return, aside from total control of the party. It's not metaphorical when we say HRC bought the DNC, because that's precisely what she did. The Democrats made a deal with the devil that we all are still paying for. If Hillary runs again, or even just handpicks the heir to her unattainable throne, the Soros-approved Warren, anyone? It will spell doom for the already floundering party. And that's what's going to happen. Hillary has handpicked Elizabeth Warren, and the talent agents have actually donated to Warren's campaign. And so we're all going to hear Hollywood celebrities and news anchors endorse Elizabeth Warren, and people like Susan Sarandon who have the guts to endorse Bernie and make fun of Warren for being a Republican until she was 47 years old. They're going to get trashed by the Hillary minions, and that's what's going on. So we'll leave that. I hope you read that article. It's very funny. Millionaire Democrat tells voters to swallow it. Here we've got an interesting, this whole video is interesting, but the part I want to show you is where Jimmy talks about the line that Democrats would be willing to cross in lesser evilism. So he makes a really interesting analogy here.
So look at this. You see, has anyone seen this going around? It says, "Dare liberals and independents." In 2020, there will be a candidate competing against Donald Trump for president. It's very likely this candidate isn't your first choice, isn't 100% ideologically pure, has made mistakes in their life, might not really excite you all that much, has ideas you aren't comfortable with. Please start the process of getting over that shit now instead of waiting until 2020.
There you go. The other analogy that he talks about is when he says, how far would you go in voting for a neoliberal against so that we can defeat Donald Trump? And so he says, for me, it was Hillary Clinton. I would never vote for Hillary Clinton, no matter who you're running her against. And then he said, so what if it's Biden or Warren, or I think he said Warren. What if it's Biden? What if it's Obama or someone like that? I don't remember the people he picked. But then he said, okay, well, I guess I'd vote for them instead of Trump, maybe. That he wasn't speaking for himself, but for us. But he said, what if they run Pence as a Democrat? What if they were to run Pence as a Democrat against Donald Trump? Would you vote for Pence as a Democrat? And then we start to see the slippery slope we're on. Well, and some Democrats, I swear, would vote for Pence over Trump if they were given that opportunity, which shows you where we are. You can't vote for Pence. You can't vote for Pence. And then he said, what if it's Mitch McConnell as a Democrat? What if we ran Mitch McConnell as a Democrat against Donald Trump? And then you see their minds blowing. Okay, now that thought experiment shows us why vote blue no matter who is crazy, but we keep swallowing it. But anyway, this is good too. Dear liberals and independents, and I've seen this going around. Actually, I'm going to post the Bernie or Buzz Show episode today on Evan Geronaitis' wall. He's a friend of mine on Facebook because he has posted this on his wall, and I want him to see Jimmy's rebuttal to it.
Hey, your voter.
Aren't you inspired?
Your voter outreach needs a little work. That's all I'm going to say.
And in small print, they should say, written by someone who doesn't need $15 an hour, Medicare for all, student debt forgiveness, free college tuition, or a green goddamn New Deal. A rich asshole centrist wrote that.
Oh, okay, well, I'll take note of that, Graham.
Oh, Senator Warren, it's great to have you here.
Thank you so much, young man. Don't get me started. Anyways, back to you, Jimmy.
Liz Warren sounds like she's sucking on a lozenge made of a farmer from a Dust Bowl novel by Steinbeck.
Oh, you got me.
Oh, you're just sucking our giant letter R. R.
And this is great marketing. Hey, we're going to suck. Get over it. That's what this is. Democrats. Hey, Democrats.
The official centrist bullshit party of the National Football League. NFL centrism for all. Get over it. Swallow it.
How about Hippocrats?
I like Hippocrats too. Democrats, keep your expectations low and vote for us.
And sleep.
How about the very likely the candidate isn't your first choice, or my second choice, or my third choice, or my fourth fucking choice. Isn't 100% ideological pure, but is 90% made out of oil. Has made mistakes in their life, like getting into politics. How about that?
Or maybe being a Republican till they were 47? I'm just asking. I turned 50 a couple months ago. 3 years ago, I wasn't a fucking Republican. I'll tell you that shit right now.
Well,
I get you. I hear you loud and clear, Graham.
Senator Warren, you haven't really answered my question.
I hear you.
She needs to look into it.
Maybe
She'll get back to you.
Later.
Do you have to ask an elder? How about number 4? Might not really excite you all that much, and may even repulse you. The nominee has ideas you are uncomfortable with. It's hilarious you think the Democratic nominee has ideas.
I just don't understand why we have low voter turnout. I just can't put my fucking finger
I don't get
on
it.
This is so exciting.
This is not how politics fucking works. Politics is about giving people something that'll make their lives better so you can inspire them to get off their ass on a work day and go fucking stand in line to vote for you. That's how politics works.
Yeah. Now, this is a request of somebody. 6 categories of Sanders supporters who will not vote for a Democrat in the general election. This is new, so I'll post this below. And it's co-authored with Victor Tiffany. It's really just the script to another video I made for Revolt against Plutocracy. To be honest with you, I worry about concentration of ownership in media, where you have a handful of media conglomerates largely controlling what we see, hear, and read. So these 6 categories of Sanders voters who will not vote for a Democrat in the general election, these are important, and you won't hear about these on corporate news. So just a quick plug for that article. And then we've got Rashida Tlaib joining as she endorsed Bernie. I just play a tiny bit of that one.
Understands that it's not just about policies and about words, but it's going to be also about completely transforming the structures in place that is hurting American people. For me, representing the third poorest congressional district in the country, he is in many ways pushing back against this really painful oppression. It's been incredibly inspiring to see his unwavering support for the same ideals that I have about people over profits. He is speaking about that mother that is tired of walking by blighted homes, tired of having to send their child to a school that doesn't have clean drinking water, or fighting just for the right to literacy right now that's happening in Michigan. I mean, there's something incredibly inspiring about someone that we know is not going to sell us out, that's not going to bow down to these structures that are so built on racism, built on choosing those that are wealthy, that he's consistent in saying that he's with us first. He will always choose us first.
Yes. She calls him Oma Bernie, that in Arabic, that's Uncle Bernie. And then we have this poll, brainwashed liberals love the CIA most. Amazing, this new Fox poll shows the groups that most trust the CIA. The CIA are liberals, Democrats, and Clinton voters. This is Glenn Greenwald. 77% of Dems trust the CIA, only 22% don't. This is the enduring sickness of Russiagate, MSNBC. I just wanted to throw this in here. I could show you a little bit of Jimmy explaining it, but it pretty much explains itself. And then making fun of it, that's the part you need Jimmy for. But I'll just pass by it, and you can watch this clip. I'll link to it. But it's really fun to see how the Clinton machinery is media. And so the media have told us to trust the CIA, but the CIA is in Hollywood telling movie makers what the scripts they can use, telling them what the Hulk can say or what Captain America can say in movies. It's the CIA, absolutely. It should be zero. The percentage should be 0% of Democrats trust the CIA. And there we have this amazing information. That shows you how powerful neoliberalism is, which brings us to Naomi. This is amazing. This is a big think video, and I'm just going to play a little bit of it to entice you to go watch it. This is what's going on in Central America that the news doesn't want you to know. I guess the underlying theme of the entirety of the Bernie or Bust television network is that you realize that the words you most need to hear are not going to be heard anywhere except in the alternative side eddies of the media. And that's where Naomi kind of is. She has a bigger voice than some leftist commentators, but this is golden. Listen just to a little bit of this to entice you to go watch it.
Felt like was that there was a change going on, that this model that had been imposed coercively, though peacefully, through...
She's talking about American U.S. policy in Central America, how we have been coercing governments in that part of the world to do our bidding.
The International Monetary Fund, through the World Bank, through the World Trade Organization, that wasn't working anymore. People were rejecting it, that the legacy of these policies, the legacy of inequality was so dramatic that the sales pitch of just wait for the trickle down wasn't working anymore. And so now there was this new phase, and it wasn't even asking, and it wasn't negotiating. It was just imposing through raw violence. And that's where I came up with the thesis for the book, which is that we haven't...
That raw violence is CIA. Again, why should we trust the CIA when they are just using raw violence to get what they want in Central America on our behalf? So our hands are bloody.
entered this new phase that I'm calling disaster capitalism, or the shock doctrine, using a shock, in this case the shock and awe invasion of Iraq, to impose what economists call economic shock therapy. So I think it was definitely that experience of seeing it from Latin America, a continent in revolt against these policies, that made it easier to identify this as a new phase. And once I identified that, I started to see these patterns recurring. After the Asian tsunami, there was a very similar push to use the shock of that natural disaster to push through, once again, these same policies: water privatization, electricity privatization, labor market flexibilization, displacing poor people on the coasts with hotel developers. So a sort of social re-engineering of society in the interests of corporations, which I think is what we've been doing under the banner of free trade, but now it's under the banner of post-disaster reconstruction.
Is shock necessary? Well, ask George W. Bush. That's a big deal. So what we have is lots of ways that corporations have taken us over. I think the 9/11 incident is an example of how we've used a shock to take away freedom and to re-engineer things. There are lots of examples of what she's talking about, and it's all coming from the same few people who own everything, from the Clinton machine, because the people who own the Clinton machine own the media, they own big pharma, big oil, et cetera, et cetera. You've heard it all here before. So what we've got is an evil machine, and Hillary is the reason we started with Hillary, because she's sort of on the catbird seat. She's in the middle of everything. She knows about everything. If she had become president, there wouldn't have been much of a need to debrief her on all the terrible things the CIA has been doing, because she already knows everything that's been going on. And I kind of worry about anyone who is a populist. If a populist does win the presidency, it's going to be a shock to their system to see all the shenanigans that we've been up to, that the American people have no idea about. But Hillary knows, and the people who fund Hillary know. And that's why Hillary has risen to where she is in terms of power, because she's complicit. She knows what's going on, and the big money people trust her. If it has already happened, Elizabeth Warren endorsed Hillary in the last go-round, it's clear that Elizabeth and Hillary are working together. They've been talking together, and it's clear because of how the political action committees, the think tanks, Neera Tanden and John Cowan, Third Way, and Center for American Progress, they are clearly behind Elizabeth Warren. So just put Elizabeth's face there with Hillary's, and you see why we can't endorse anyone other than Bernie. And that's where the Bernie or bust strategy comes in. That other article I showed you here, the 6 categories of voters who will not vote for a Democrat. There isn't any possible way for anyone other than Bernie to unite those categories of voters and to defeat Donald Trump. If you're really set on defeating Donald Trump, then take off your pink hat and put on whatever hat Bernie wants you to wear, and let's get this thing going. If you're part of the pantsuit brigade, put on something else and let's get behind Bernie until we can get what we need. Otherwise, it's going to be blood in the streets. You're going to see what you're seeing in Central America. You're going to see Venezuela. You're going to see Argentina. You're going to see the people piling into the streets. That's what's going to happen in Milwaukee this year. If things, and it was bad enough in Philadelphia, but they didn't show us that. But I'm definitely going to Milwaukee this year. I hope that we could line the streets for 3 weeks before the convention, just to let the pantsuit brigade know that we're not going to have it again. They're not going to do this to us again. They're not going to do this to the American worker again. We're serious. If it isn't Bernie or bust, it's Bernie or bat. We need to get very serious about this, and we need to let everyone know, everyone who could vote for Elizabeth Warren or Joe Biden. We have to let them know it's not going to go. You need to get over this shit now. A nice happy message from the Bernie or Bust Television Network. Hope you have a good day, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Keep on burning.
Get on board the Bernie or Bust train. Come get on board the Bernie or Bust train. Once you hear that clickety-clack, there ain't no time for turning back. Oh, get on board